Okay, welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a cool little video application using the Accordion component that ships with FlashMX 2004. It's just a cool little way to show off some of your FLV files. So to get started, I've created a new document with a locked actions layer. And there's a couple of things you'll need in your library in order to get started. First is a movie clip of an icon that's going to go next to the labels in the Accordion component. And I've included this in the zip file, and you can go ahead and use this icon or create whatever icon you want. And then also we're going to add some sound to when you click to change the Accordion panels. And let me click this. So it's just this little click that I've made. Again, it could be any sound that you want, but I've also included this in the zip file. And you're going to need to set up the linkage settings for these. So if you go under linkage, you can see I've set it an identifier of click for the sound, and for the icon I've set it to vid icon, and that's what we'll be referencing in the action script. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I want to do is create a new layer. I'm going to call this Accordion. And then I'm going to go to the Components panel, and under UI Components, the first one is the Accordion component. So I'm just going to drag that out to the stage. Okay, so my video files are going to be 320 by 240. So if I just make this Accordion component 320 by 240, there's going to be a problem because we're not accounting for the little bars in the accordion. So I've come up with this size kind of by trial and error. We're going to be putting 4 videos in here. So if you're putting more or less, you may have to adjust this by trial and error. So the right width and height is 320 by 320. And this is for if your videos are 320 by 240 and you have 4 of them. Okay, so we adjusted the size. Now we need to give it an instance name. I'm just going to call it ACC for short. Okay, so we're going to be loading in movie clips into this accordion, and inside of those movie clips there's going to be our embedded video object we're going to use to play the video. So what we need to do is create that movie clip now. So I'm going to go to the Insert menu, click New Symbol, choose Movie Clip, and I'm just going to call this Vid. Okay, now inside of here we need to set up our embedded video object. So we go to the library, click New Video, then we drag our embedded video out to the stage, and in the Properties panel I'm going to put that at 0, 0 coordinates, and then make it 320 by 240. I'm going to give it an instance name of V. Okay, so that's all that's going to be in this movie clip, and we're going to be attaching this dynamically into our accordion component. So let's go back out to the root timeline. Okay, so that we basically set up all we need to set up out in the stage. Now the rest is going to be accomplished via action script. So highlight the first keyframe in the actions layer and open the actions panel. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is, if you've noticed when using components that everything has that kind of green highlighting, well, that's just one theme that's available when using components. And there's a couple of other theme colors you can choose from, or you can go ahead and actually restyle it using styles, but we're not going to do that here. So I'm just going to set a global style change. To do that, you say underscore global dot style dot set style, and then we're going to set the theme color property. And there's basically, in the halo themes, there's 3 colors. There's green, there's orange, and there's blue. And green is the default, but I really dislike that one. So I'm going to change it to the orange one, which is halo orange. So now any components that I drag out that use the halo theme will now be themed according to the halo orange theme. So, and if you want more information, you can search about these in the help files. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do is set up my sound object, because I have that sound that I want to play whenever I click on a new panel in the accordion. So I'm just going to create a sound object, var s, strict data type it to sound, is equal to new sound. And then I want to attach that sound from the library to the sound object. So s.attach sound. And the linkage identifier again is click. Okay, so now the sound object is set up for us to use. Now we're going to go ahead and do the typical code that I'm sure you're familiar with by now of how to play an external FLV. We need to create our net connection object. Oop. Okay, now we need to call the connect method and pass null to it. Okay, here's where things change a little bit. So in each, there's going to be 4 videos in this accordion component. Now we're going to need a separate netstream instance for each one of those panes. If we try to use the same netstream instance and just switch it to different embedded video objects, the video will play, but it will be all corrupted. So we need to create 4 netstreams. So this will be ns netstream equals new netstream, and this one's just like normal. Okay, now I need to create 3 more, so I'm just going to copy paste. I'm just going to call this ns2, ns3, and ns4. Okay, so we have 4 separate net streams, and you remember in your Flash movies you have one net connection, which is that main pipeline to outside media, and inside of it you can have multiple net streams, and that's what we've done here. We've created 4. Okay, now we're actually going to we're going to add panels to our accordion component. So we're going to assign a variable to each of these panels so that we can reference it and talk to it. So I'm going to say var child1 is equal to, and then we call the create child method of our accordion component. And remember, I've called it ACC out on the stage. We say create child. Okay, now to this method, we first need to send the symbol name or the linkage name of our movie clip that has our embedded video object, and we actually haven't set up the linkage of that yet, so let's do that. Here's my movie clip. Click linkage, and then I'm just going to leave it as vid. Okay, and down here type vid. So it's going to this child or this panel. It's going to attach one of the vid movie clips into the panel. Okay, the next thing you need to do is to give it a name for this child, and since this panel is going to hold video about Las Vegas, I'm just going to call this Vegas. Okay, now next we need to set the label and the icon for this particular panel of the accordion, and to do that we use this open curly brace, then we say label colon, and then in quotes we put what we want the label to actually be that's going to be on the header of this panel, and I'm just going to call it Vegas. Okay, then put a comma and now put icon again with a colon, and now we give the linkage identifier to the icon that we want to be displayed, and the linkage for that was vid icon. Okay, now we close the curly brace, and then we can close the parentheses for this method, and then semicolon to close it. Okay, so we've basically just created one panel in our accordion component, attached that movie clip with the embedded video object into it, and give it a label of Vegas, and then also have the video icon. So next thing we want to do is we want to store the FLV URL that we want to play in this panel. We want to add a property to this child1 variable that will hold the FLV URL. So to do that, we just say child1.flv is equal to, and then just going to give it the URL to the FLV file. Okay, so now we've stored that because we're going to be using this later. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to create a property here, another property that's going to tell us which netstream instance this child is going to be using. And for child 1, we're just going to use ns. So child1 dot, and then I'm just going to call it nets is equal to ns. So basically holding a reference to which netstream we want to use within this panel. Okay, so we've created this first panel in the accordion component, and now we've stored the FLV URL as well as which netstream we're going to need to use into it as well as properties so we can recall it. Okay, so we have one set up. Now we need to do 3 more. Again, I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, now it's just a matter of changing information. This one will be child 2. Each of these will be attaching a copy of the vid movie clip. And this one is going to be snowboarding from Boreal. So change all the information to that. It's the same icon for all of them. But if you wanted to have different icons for different videos, here's where you would change it. And just change the URL. Okay, this will be child 3, and this one will be snowboarding from Sugar Bowl. So, and we're actually not even using this name, but okay, let's see, Sugar Bowl, and URL to that is just SB. Okay, so for this last one, this will be child 4, and this will be the drive to work video. Okay, and give the URL to that. And we also need to change these. So this will be child2.flv, child3, and so on. Okay, so we've added now our 4 panels to the accordion component, and we've stored the FLV URLs, and now we also need to change which netstream we're going to use. So for this second panel, we're going to use the netstream 2, this one use the netstream 3, this one use netstream 4. Okay, so that's the hard part over. We've added panels to our component now. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we want to, when we first come into the movie, the first panel or the first child is going to be open, and we just want it to automatically start playing the first video. So to do that, we say child1 dot v, because remember, child1 now represents this attached vid movie clip, and inside of it is our embedded video object that we've given an instance name of v. Now we say attach video, and this first one is going to be using just the regular ns netstream. Okay, now we're going to tell it to play. So we're just going to say ns.play. And now to get the URL of what to play, yeah, we could hard code it, but we have it stored here in this FLV property. So let's just use that. So child1.flv. Okay, the next thing we want to do is create a variable, and the whole purpose of this variable is going to be to store which video is currently playing. We need to know that so that we can turn it off when we're ready to turn on a new one. So I'm just going to call it whoison, and since we already started playing this first one, I can put in child1 because that's who's currently playing when we first come into the movie. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is set up the event listener for the accordion component. Now this is going to be fired whenever you click on a different panel in the accordion component. And the event that we're going to be responding to is called change. But we need to create an event listener for this. So again, an event listener is just a regular generic object. So it's var, and I'm just going to call it ACC list for listener. is equal to new object. Okay, now we set up the change event. So it's acc list dot change is equal to function. Okay. Okay, now the first thing we want to do when we come in here is we want to stop whichever video is currently playing. Whatever panel is selected, whatever video is playing, we want it to stop. Now we could just pause it, but to free up resources, we're actually going to close the netstream. So we're going to say who is on, because that holds the currently playing video, dot, and then it's net_s, because remember net_s is the property we've created up here to tell us which netstream to use. So who is on dot net_s dot close, because close is the method of the netstream object, which basically closes the netstream, obviously. Okay, so now we've done that. Now we want to set who is on equal to the new panel that's just been clicked, which has caused this event to fire. So we say who is on is equal to, now we say acc, which is our accordion component instance name. Then we use the get child at method. Now we need to get the child or the currently selected item. To do that, we use acc dot selected index. So this returns the index of the currently selected panel. So we close that. Okay, so now whichever one was just clicked on is now going to be assigned to who is on. Okay. Now we want to play the new video because we've just clicked on a new panel, it's opened up, and now we need to play it. So we say who is on dot net_s again, which represents the net stream that we're using for this particular panel, dot play, and then we say who is on dot FLV, which is the property we created which holds the actual URL, the FLV. Okay, the last thing we need to do is remember our sound object we created. So anytime this change event is fired, we know somebody's clicked on a new panel, so we want just to play that sound once. So we simply just say s.start. Okay, now we can close this. And again, with working with event listeners, we've created this event listener object and set up the change method or change event, but we need to register it with our accordion component so that it will receive its events. So we say acc.add event listener, add event listener, and then we want to respond to the change event, and then we pass it our event listener object we created, which is acc list. Okay, so that's all there is to it, and this was somewhat exhaustive, but let me walk through it again really quickly. Okay, so the first thing we've done is just to change the global style of all components to use the halo orange theme, but you could put halo blue or halo green in here. Then we've created a new sound object and attached the sound with a linkage identifier of click from the library to it. Here, it's normal business. We create the net connection, call the connect, pass null to it. Now we create a separate net stream for each panel in our accordion component. So if you had 10 videos instead of 4, you'd need to create 10 different net streams, or else the video will be all corrupted otherwise. So now in this code here, we're actually adding panels to our accordion component. So we use the create child method, and here we tell it which movie clip to attach from the library, and this vid movie clip is the one that has our embedded video object inside. Okay, and then we give the label, which icon to use, and then we create a couple of properties here. First is the FLV property, which holds a URL to our FLV, and then the netst property, which just holds which netstream this panel uses. Okay, so we've done that for all four, created all four. And let me go back. Okay, here, since this first one we want it to play immediately, right when we come into the movie, I've just attached the first netstream to the embedded video object, and then we play the FLV. This who is on is keeping track of which panel is currently selected. Then we set up an event listener to respond to the change event of the accordion. We close the netstream of what was playing. Then we reset this who is on to the currently selected panel, and then we play the video that's in that panel. And we also play the little sound. Okay, and then we need to register the listener to the accordion component. So let's go out and test this movie and see what we have. Okay, here we are, and we see that first video is playing now in this first panel, and when I click on the second panel, the video doesn't load, and that's obviously not what's supposed to happen. So let's go back and double check the code. I'm sure this is something minor that I've left out here. Okay, yeah, so I've attached the netstream to the embedded video object for the first panel, but I haven't done it for these next three. So let me go ahead and do that. Let me copy, paste this in, and change the values. So the second panel uses NS2, third panel uses NS3, and the fourth panel uses NS4. So I'm sure you're wondering, if we're attaching the netstream that we want to use to the embedded video object here, why do we even need this property? It's because we need to know which netstream to close when we go to another panel. So that's why we need to store the value in here as a property. Okay, let's do this one more time. Okay, so this first panel now, playing the first video, and we click, second video plays, third video plays, and the last video plays. So what happens when, say, watching this drive to work video and I click on Sugar Bowl, the first thing it's doing is going to close this netstream and then start playing this netstream. And you can see what happens right when I open the panel. You can see it's kind of paused wherever it last was. Now if you wanted to clear the video object, you could use the clear method of the embedded video object to do that if you wanted to. Or you could actually load all of the videos and pause them at the beginning, so when you opened it, it'd be paused at the beginning. You can do whatever you wanted with this. So this is just a basic setup, but it could be the basis of a more advanced application. So whichever panel was open, you could have some video controls lay over the top right here, and then when I clicked on the next one, they would move up to whichever panel is currently selected. So that could be a kind of cool little application you could do. So I hope you found this enjoyable.